Ngā mihi mai o hā kia koutou katoa. It is not at all unsettling having you all looking at me right now. Today I've been asked to talk to the conference theme of Paorangi / impact. My role in giving the opening address to you this morning is to set the scene as a lead-in to some of the amazing speakers you'll hear over the next 2 days. But I also see it as a platform to talk to something I feel really passionate about, and that is the ability as individuals to affect change. Impact can be loud and pronounced and can hit you in the face or over the head, depending on the situation. And the perfect example of this here in Aotearoa is Hikoi Mō Te Tiriti, which saw the mobilisation of hundreds of thousands, of Kiwis from all walks of life and all social and cultural backgrounds challenge the government's tactless and unnecessary undermining of Māori rights. But I'm not here to talk to that today. The impact I am here to talk about today is the impact that is quiet, nuanced, and hits you in the heart. And it is no less meaningful and important because of this. Paorangi is a reverberation often associated with thunder. But when you think of a thunderstorm, the loud bang at the end is often accompanied by a rolling symphony of smaller booms in the lead-up. These are the supporting, nurturing, and intensifying moments that lend themselves to the chorus, and ultimately, in anticipation, sets us up for the crashing explosion that comes after. I was originally going to call this talk Deep Impact, after the 1998 disaster film. But then I realised that the movie I was thinking of was actually the other 1998 disaster film called Armageddon, starring Bruce Willis. But annoyingly, the title of the movie didn't work as well for the theme of the conference. You might wonder why either of these films have any relevance for NDF. Well, in the context of my intro, it would be fair to say that comets hitting the Earth and making us extinct qualifies as a hit you over the head kind of impact. But what is interesting about this genre, and which is so irritating for those of us who like disaster films to be extra disastery, is that in order to communicate the intensity of these big, literal, earth-shattering events in the plot, we must first see the impact on a micro level. How do everyday people cope in the lead-up to the end of the world? How can we gain insight into the human condition in order to help us understand just how momentous these events are, unless we multiply each individual's emotion and actions by the entire population of the Earth? It is all of these personal moments of reflection and reaction that amplifies our anticipation and emotional investment in what comes next. As a counterpoint to that picture I just painted, let's imagine a world where you can design a cityscape without picking up a pencil or pushing a button, live in a community where everyone can speak their language without prejudice, be part of a world where a social movement begins with an outrageous parade that everyone is invited to, or have your innermost thoughts and feelings reach millions of people with a single swipe of your finger. None of this is fiction, it's already happening. The tools and means of making connections that we have access to today give us opportunities we never thought possible 50 years ago. But this is the conundrum of impact and one of the problems of scale. We now have the means to see and do whatever we want, whenever we want to. And that comes with a catalogue of potential challenges. Just like all of those people in Armageddon and Deep Impact, trying to get their heads around what they have done with their lives and what is really important to them if Bruce Willis doesn't blow up the asteroid before it hits the Earth, we also need to consider our personal interactions and connections as being just as impactful. I recently received a message that really moved me, And for those that know me, I'm not easily moved. But this is where the idea of deep impact lies for me. The message was from an artist who myself and a colleague had done a studio visit with, a normal workday. We had a fun time looking at the work and talking about some potential acquisitions. We then included some of these works in an international show that the artist attended. After we all returned, the artist sent me an email that said how important that studio visit and those opportunities had been for them. Those moments had been the catalyst for a shift in their perspective on their career and had opened many doors for them that they now had the confidence to step through. This left a profound impression on me. What I sometimes fail to fully comprehend is the personal impact myself and all of us working in the GLAM sector have on the creatives and the communities we work with. At our openings at the Dowse, we like to begin by thanking artists first, and then by encouraging those in the audience to support artists and communities in whatever way they can. These are not empty words. I fully endorse and practice them both within and outside my job whenever I can. So when I think of the message I received from that artist, it helps to remind me that impact can come in many forms. For this artist, it wasn't just the attention, the increased profile, or the financial support. It was that all of those things confirmed for her that she was on the right path right now. I returned yesterday from attending a gathering of Indigenous curators and artists in Vancouver. So if I'm stumbling over my words, you know why. At a symposium held on the last day, one of the speakers, while talking about modes of resistance, spoke to an example she had been reading about where architects in the Middle East were challenged with how to engage with the bombed out buildings in the landscape. She said the life-changing moment for her was when she read about how rather than demolishing a disused concrete bunker and adding the waste to landfill, they had instead drilled it full of holes to create nests for the endemic bird species. This example of thinking about an alternative form of resistance and reclamation was the perfect illustration for me of deep and quiet impact. It was about shifting minds and modes. It doesn't even matter if it was successful as a real outcome or if it was speculative. The simple retelling had the entire auditorium imagining what they could do in their own communities. So rather than giving a summation of what you might hear over the next 2 days from the amazing lineup of speakers in the program, I would like to instead offer an invitation to all of you. I want you to think about how do you or can you personally enact quiet change? What can you do to affect change for someone else? We don't all have to be the crashing thunder or Bruce Willis, but we all have the ability to add to the chorus as one of the smaller booms. Kia ora.